This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get some new information about Ghost of Tsushima. Sony is releasing a themed Last of Us Part 2 console. Bluepoint Games may not be working on a Demon's Souls remake. The Xbox One exclusive Grounded is getting a demo, and will EA continue to retain the exclusive NFL license? All of these stories and a lot more can be found here in episode 128. I am your host, Keon Mitchell, and I must say truly and surely thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Analog Circle podcast. Now, if you guys want to find the podcast over on other platforms, it's available on Stitcher, it's available on Apple Podcasts, it's available on SoundCloud, and various other places, iHeartRadio. Just go out there, type in Analog Circle podcast into Google, and enjoy yourself. Now, guys, I must say, just like we do every single week, I want to get into the feedback section. Now, you, the listener out there, if you want to be a part of this section of the podcast, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Now let's go ahead and get into the feedback section, and we're going to have Mr. John get us started. It is great to hear from you this week, brother. I am looking forward to getting into your email. Now, the title of his email is Miscellaneous. Now, he says, yo, CE33 or Corked Emperor 33. He says, well, my problem with the latest Inside Xbox was the crew's horrible webcams and mics. Microsoft, can you please upgrade your crew with better gear? Hey, I hear that, brother. You ain't lying there, my brother. Now, he continues to say, on another note, I have never really been a frames person until someone on a podcast said the 2004 Ninja Gaiden was running at 60 frames per second on the OG Xbox. I was like, no wonder that game was so smooth, man. He continues to say, my question is, why don't we have 120 frames per second standard for the start of the next generation? If they could do 60 frames per second back in the mid 2000s, then why, Keys? Why? That's a good question, man. But he continues. Now, my real question for you is, who do you think is going to drop the price for the next gen console first? And when do you think this might happen? One last thing. A while ago, I can't remember if I read or heard on a YouTube video that Microsoft was making a cheap streaming-like machine to compete against Apple TV. How crazy would it be if the old project was what the Lockhart evolved into? It would mean around $199 for the Lockhart. We'll see. Drive safe and be safe. Shout out to you, Mr. John, for this email. It's always great to hear from you, brother. I truly appreciate it. And without further ado, brother, let's go ahead and get into your email. Now, Mr. John, I think, as far as the price point goes, I think it's going to depend on how things are playing out, because when you think about last generation, Sony was the first one to lower their price because they were getting beat. Now, keep in mind, everybody can say, well, Xbox got a year jump on them and all of that other stuff, but the console was like $600. I think the other model was $500. And we're talking about back in 2006. So it was no way those prices were flying. Yes, they were able to sell consoles, but they weren't selling at nearly the rate of the Xbox 360, which was $100 to $200 less. So, I mean, we have to think about how it's actually playing out. But if you, and also we have another example of this with the Xbox One X, because if you look at how soon that thing dropped in price, I mean, that thing was $500, what, about two and a half, almost 3 years ago? And now you can get it for $300. I mean, it just depends on how the sales are going for the console. But if you were to ask me, you know, let's say everything is going well, both console manufacturers are doing great, Microsoft is doing well, Sony is doing well. Now, if you ask me which one would drop the price first, I mean, that's of course what you asked me. If everything is going well, both of them are winning, I would still say Microsoft. They would be the first to drop the price because they are the ones that are on the hot seat, and they have to convince the gaming masses that they are the platform to get behind. Because you got to look at it. Sony, this whole generation, they have done nothing but just well. They've done excellent. I mean, absolutely amazing this generation. They have given nothing but heater after heater after heater. I mean, their games have been absolutely incredible. And when you look over on the Xbox side, not so much. So right now, Microsoft, they're going to need any and every single advantage that they can get to get the gaming masses back on their side. And because of that, because of them having to be the ones that are out there, having to let us know and convince gamers that they are the platform to go to, I would say they would be the first to do it because they need to do it. Right now, PlayStation, they are the clear-cut winner. They have done nothing wrong this entire generation but give us AAA after AAA after AAA experience. And because of that, they have way more wiggle room than Microsoft right now. Now, the other thing you did say, I wanted to talk about this too. You were talking about Lockhart. This was a couple of years ago. I do remember that rumor. Hearing about the Lockhart being a streaming only box to compete with Apple. And now thinking about it, that would make even more sense, John, because right now we know that Stadia is on the market and they are a streaming service as well. So how amazing and very interesting, I might add, would it be that what if the Lockhart, like you said, is just that, a streaming device, and it would come in at $199? My goodness. Now we know that Microsoft, they are really they are embracing this streaming technology as much as I don't want it to happen and I'm against it. I'm an old guy. I'm 41 years old. I'm an old school gamer, but these new guys, these younger guys, they are used to the streaming. That's the thing they're used to. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, whatever the case may be. Downloads, even though that's not streaming, but you know, it's digital. It's all digital. So, I mean, they are fully embracing this with xCloud. And how cool would it be for the person that doesn't want to spend that $400 to $500? And I hope, but hope not, but possibly $600 to get into the ecosystem, when if they don't mind streaming the games, they could come into the Xbox ecosystem at $199. I mean, if this happens, John, if this possibly happens, what a interesting, very interesting conversation we would be having. But John, I truly appreciate your email, brother. And I know you did mention about Ninja Gaiden. You know, if they could do 60 frames per second back in the mid 2000s, why aren't we at 120 right now? I gotta tell you, brother, I think that, and keep in mind, John, I gotta keep it 1,000 with you, brother. The technical aspects of gaming are not really my stronghold, brother. So if I'm giving you false information, I apologize up front. But I would think that maybe it has to do with these new consoles, you know, having more graphical fidelity. I mean, 4K textures, going into this next generation. They're talking about this Luminous engine and all of these different, it's another word that I'm looking for. It's the new buzzword that's going around as far as, the lighting and stuff goes. Can't think of it. Good grief. But I'm just thinking that these games are becoming more and more graphically intensive, and they're starting to use a lot more overhead, which is the possible ray tracing. That's what I was trying to think of. Ray tracing is a new thing that's coming into the fold too. So all of these things are very, very taxing on a console. So I think that because of that, it is going to have a bit of an effect on the frames per second. 120, I mean, that'd be amazing. I do believe, though, that they said that Ori and the Will of the Wisp would be able to run at 120 frames per second. So maybe it's a possibility that smaller games, less graphically intensive, will be able to take advantage of that 120, but we'll have to see, though, John. But once again, brother, thank you so much for writing into the podcast. It's fantastic to read your emails, and please continue to keep them coming. Thank you so very much, brother. Now let's go ahead and get into the second email, and it comes from my guy, Mr. One Subset Tekken. Now the title of his email is, "Who ordered the Medal of Honor?" Oh, man. He says, "What's going on, Keon? I just wanted to drop some thoughts with the new Tony Hawk game coming out. Do you think that it would be a bundle deal solo, or would it be two separate games and a $40 price? And my other thought is Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. Man, hold on, brother. Let me read this right. Good grief, I'm all over the place, man. One Subset Tekken. Let me start this over and give your email the proper respect that it deserves. So here we go. Take two, brother. He says, "What's going on, Keon? I just wanted to drop some thoughts with the new Tony Hawk game coming out. Do you think that it would be a bundle deal solo, or would it be two separate games and a $40 price? And my other thought is Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. I didn't think, and maybe it's just me personally, that entire franchise was really worth bringing back, unless I am mistaken. I have played their original Medal of Honor and really did not care for it. What are your thoughts? And one more thing. The original Xbox Live 1.0 is making a slight comeback. What are your thoughts? Do you even retro game at all? Peace out. Continue the great work you do, and drive safely." One Subset Tekken, brother. I kind of struggled with that one, brother. Reading is fundamental. Now let's go ahead and get into your email. Thank you so much, though, One Subset Tekken. I really appreciate it, brother. But the Tony Hawk remakes, they are actually a bundle deal. They're going to be including both Tony Hawks 1 and 2, and they're going to be $40. So for me, I think that is well worth the money, because I've been looking at the graphics and I'm like, man, this is really a full overhaul of the game. So I think that they've done excellent work, and for $40 for both of those games, yeah, I think it'll be well worth it, man. Now, as far as Medal of Honor goes, I agree with you, brother. I want to quote your title of your email. Who ordered the Medal of Honor? I have no idea. I don't know where this even came from. Even back in the day when Medal of Honor was out, it still didn't do that great. We're talking about all the way back to the PlayStation era. I never remember anybody checking for Medal of Honor. So I don't know how this is going to go, One Subset Tech, and I have no clue if this game is even going to be on anybody's radar. I doubt it. But I don't know what they were thinking with this one, but we'll see what happens. Man, wouldn't it be crazy though, One Subset, if this game came out and it was actually a huge success, where people were looking at it checking for it? I can't believe Medal of Honor made such a huge comeback. This is crazy. Is it going to happen? Brother, I highly doubt it. I would almost be willing to put money on it that this game is not going to do great. But how crazy would it be? They got Vincent Pella over there right now. I don't know if that brother got that much magic, though. I don't know if his magic touch goes that far, but we'll see though. But as far as the Xbox One Live 1.0, possibly making a bit of a comeback, I believe the guy that's behind this project, his name is Luke Usher, and it's a company named Insignia that are backing him or helping him out with this. I think it's really cool, man. I think that, people that have the original Xbox being able to have the capability of being able to go back online and playing against different people on Halo 2, Halo 1. I think that's pretty cool, man. For people that want to break out the old Xbox, the original, and get a couple of games on. But for me, I really don't retro game, man. And keep in mind, brother, I have a ton of old systems that date all the way back to, good grief, the original Nintendo, the original Sega Master System with the 3D glasses, brother. All of them are in the boxes. Sega Saturn is downstairs. Genesis. I got a ton of them joints, and I do not game on any of them. I even got a couple of tabletop games from Nintendo back in the day, the original Popeye, the Mario Cement Factory, Donkey Kong Jr., all of those mini arcades, and I don't even touch them, brother. They are just in the tuck, sitting and relaxing, brother. But for those that do enjoy retro gaming, I think that this would be an excellent situation to be in, where you could break out your original Xbox and really get into it over the network with some of your friends and relive some of those original Xbox glory days, man. But One Subset Tekken, thank you so much for this email. I truly appreciate you, brother. It's always great to hear from you. I love answering your questions, getting your feedback, and really getting your thoughts. So One Subset Tekken, thank you again so much, brother. And please continue to write on in, man. Now, last but absolutely in no way, shape, form, or fashion last, we have my man, my guy, Mr. Vaughn, who has left another voice message. So without further ado, Mr. Vaughn, let's go ahead and hear your voicemail.
What's up, Keon? It's your boy Vaughn. Hey, man, a real quick call. First of all, thank you for what you do on the podcast. Very much appreciated, but especially being a truck driver. I have family members that are truck drivers. It's an underrated, thankless job. Just want to say thank you for what you do. And real quick, my question this week, I'm just going to go straight to it. If you had a time machine and you could go back and talk to yourself, your younger self, when you first discovered gaming, what advice would you give yourself? All right? That's all I got this week. Looking forward to the show. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Peace.
My brother Vaughn. Brother, first off, let me tell you, thank you so much for your very kind words, brother. As far as being a truck driver and, just tipping your hat to me. I really, really thank you for that, man. That really means a lot. And I truly mean that. Thank you so much for that, Vaughn. And for the podcast, hey, man, thank you for listening, brother, because like I say so many times, without anybody listening, the show is not even worth doing. So thank you for being here. It's always great to hear from you, brother. And without further ado, without me getting long-winded, brother, because you really just jumped right into it this week, and I appreciate that, Vaughn. Thank you, brother. Now, your question was, and this was a very, very good question. I believe you said, if I had a time machine and I could go back and talk to my younger self when I first discovered gaming, what advice would I give myself? Excellent question, Vaughn. And I tell you, brother, I have an answer for that, brother. I would tell my younger self to never let anyone take the joy away from you for gaming. Because nowadays, so many people, they get on these blogs, they get on different shows, podcasts, whatever the case may be, and all they do is slander gaming over and over and over. It's like no matter what happens, like it's some people that this whole generation, they have said it was a bust. This generation was a huge letdown. It was nothing out there. This whole generation did grab their attention and said, wow, this is a great game. It's just people out there that just want to hate just for the sake of hating something. And sometimes that can really get you down when you hear nothing but negativity over a hobby that you really love and you enjoy, and it's your passion. It's the thing that you as far as something that you do, is the thing that you love. You love to do it. And having people have these negative thoughts and always just wanting to just spew negativity, I would definitely tell my younger self, never let anybody or anything take your joy away from loving this gaming community, loving just gaming in general. And I'll tell you, it's times that Microsoft, they don't do what I would expect for them to do. Sony, they do things that I don't agree with sometimes. Nintendo, they darn sure do things that I don't like. But it's no way that I'm just going to continue to constantly trash any single company that has to do with gaming, because not everything that they do is always bad. But yet some people, they'll have you believing that they can never do anything right. That's why I genuinely had just the question of, asking, what did you guys want out of Microsoft? For me, and look, the answers, the reasons why people were upset, understand they are valid, because not everybody is going to see things through the same lens as myself. But, I just thought that, man, people were just piling on Microsoft because they were Microsoft. Could I have been being biased and my own bias with that? Of course I could have. But for me, it just seems like Microsoft, they've just been doing a lot of things right lately, and people just don't give them a fair shake. So I guess in short, I'm rambling a lot here, Vaughn, but I would say, once again, brother, and I said it like 3 times already, but to my younger self, never let anybody take your joy away from loving and enjoying gaming for yourself. But Vaughn, this was such a fantastic question, man. It really made me think, about like, man, what would I tell my younger self? Also I would tell my younger self, man, just be on the lookout, young kid. You got some great stuff coming. I know right now you're dealing with different squares and triangles for characters, but you just wait. 15, 20 years from now, your mind is going to be completely blown away. You know, I mean, man, Vaughn, this was just such a great voicemail, brother. Thank you again for, I might have said it was an email at first. I always get it mixed up. But Vaughn, thank you again so much, brother. This was fantastic. And once again, thank you again for the kind words. Truly means a lot, brother. And thank you for being here, as well as One Subset Tekken. Thank you as well. And to John, thank you too, for all of you guys writing in and leaving your thoughts and, you know, giving me things to think about. So shout out to y'all and thank y'all once again for being here, man. I truly, truly mean that. And, hey, since I'm truly appreciative, matter of fact, man, guys, I have right here a $25 gift card to the PlayStation Store. Now, right now, PlayStation, they're having I believe a Memorial Day sale or something like that. I think they had Death Stranding on sale for like $30. And I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of thought about getting it myself. I'm really hesitant, but $30, I'm like, man, I might could take that loss. But for anybody out there that saw something on the store that they wanted, get ready to get your pens, get ready to get your pencils, get your crayons. I mean, get whatever you need to write this code down, because here the code goes. Here we go. The code is as follows. It is 4H22PANX8JD. Write that down, and it's $25. Get yourself something nice over at the store. It's just a small token of me saying thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for rocking out with me. It truly means so much to me. It means so much. You know, me being a smaller podcast and just having you guys tune in really means the world, man. So, yeah. So, oh yeah, and if you want to let me know if you got the card, I mean, you don't have to, but if you want me to shout you out, you can either call into the show at 443-216-9934. Let me know that you got it. Give me your name and I'll be sure to shout you out. Or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Right in, brothers. But, anyway, guys, as far as what I have been into this week, I gotta say, I got into a little bit more Fist of the North Star. Got into that. The game, it's starting to open up, man. The game is really, it's great. The only thing I will say about Fist of the North Star right now, the fighting, it is repetitive. Good gosh, it's repetitive, you know, but you do get different moves and, you know, a couple of different move sets to use. So it's repetitive, but it's still a lot of fun. So that's the thing that's kind of keeping it alive. And the story has been pretty okay so far. Not bad at all, you know, but, I also got a new vehicle, so I'm able to travel the wasteland and everything. I mean, it's really, it's getting good, man. I'm really enjoying it. But, outside of that, I played Mafia 3 Definitive Edition. Don't worry. We got some news on that. And shout out to you, Mike J. I did get your text message, brother. I apologize for not getting back to you, but I did get it. Shout out to Mike J. But we're going to talk about a little bit of Mafia 3, the Definitive Edition, a little later. But outside of that, I don't think I was into too much more. I think that was it for this week. I played a little bit more Pac-Man. That was cool. I love that game. And that was it, man. But hey, without further ado, man, you know, I've said enough, said too much. Let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. So last week, we got an in-depth look at Ghost of Tsushima, and the game does look great. And this is the thing. And one thing the dev team expressed in the demo was you could play as the ghost or the samurai, which had many players start to believe that maybe, similarly Like the Infamous games, you could choose to be good or bad. Well, creative director and art director Jason Connell Cannell sat down with IGN to talk about whether the game would have a morality meter, and Jason said, and I quote, "We thought about a morality meter because we had the karma system in Infamous Second Son. But we realized it was more important to us that we wanted to tell a human story of someone who is this way and has to evolve into something else versus transform completely into something else." End of quote. Now, Cannell, keep on messing this brother's name up. He also mentioned that the freedom that the game players will have over how they decide to play. And he said, and I quote, "We don't make you choose between samurai and ghost. When he's a ghost, he can turn around and play as samurai because he's always a samurai. If you want to jump off the roof and start fighting like a samurai, you could totally do that. We don't spec you out and suddenly you can't play as a samurai." End of quote. Now, this information right here. Oh, also, the game is going to take up at least 50 gigabytes of hard drive space. God dang it. God dog. Another one. But hey, I want to get into this game though. Now, the interesting thing about this is this really piqued my interest because similar to the Infamous games, are you going to be good? Are you going to be bad? This guy, Connell, said, nah, man, he is who he is. We're just telling a human story. It's no be good or bad. This guy is a samurai and he is a ghost. And I love the fact that you don't have to choose a certain style. You know how some games, let's just say Splinter Cell, for instance, because that's the first game that came to my mind. You have to play that game in stealth. I think as the Splinter Cells went on, they did give you a little more free reign, but the first Splinter Cell, man, you had to be in the shadows constantly. If you got in trouble, you got shot, bang, bang, you're dead, start back over. With Ghost of Tsushima, I thought that was going to be the same exact scenario. If you're playing as the ghost, you have to sneak around, and if you get caught and jammed up, hey, man, you're going to get sliced, and you're going to have to start all over again because you weren't being quiet enough and you weren't doing stealth kills. I love the fact that you can just switch between the two on the fly. If things aren't going too well as the ghost and somebody sees you and all of a sudden you got a lot of guys coming towards you, all of a sudden, bam, samurai skills kick in and you can just continue to go through the mission with no recourse, man. This is excellent. I love the fact that you don't have to choose a style. You just play the game the way that you want to play it, and depending on the situation, you can switch styles up right on the fly. This really got me excited for the game. I really can't wait for this game to release. And I do like the fact, just talking about the morality system for a second, that you don't have to choose to be good or bad. People are going to love you or they're going to hate you or anything like that. They are just simply telling the story of this character being who he is and not having to become something that he possibly was not. It's very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima and can't wait for this game to release. Let's go ahead and get into some Xbox Series X news. Now, it has been confirmed by website Xboxygen, which is a French language site, that said that production of the Xbox Series X has started. Now, here is the quote. It says, "What we learned today is that Xbox Series X is in production and that France is one of the priority countries for the delivery of the machines at the end of the year." End of quote. Now, this is great news that production has started But we still have to wonder, how hard will it be to get an Xbox Series X? Because Xbox France director Ina Gilbert said, and I quote, "The choice we made on this launch is to be present in more countries than at the launch of the Xbox One," end of quote. So that shows us right there that Xbox, they are planning on launching in way more countries than they originally launched in with the Xbox One, which means that over here in the US and the States, man, we already know that when a console launches, it's already gonna be the quantities are going to be very low. But you have Xbox now putting their console in different regions where it wasn't there at launch before. Good grief. That's just going to make it even harder. So we're going to have to wait and see how many of these things will be out in the wild to get. But it is nice to see that Microsoft is being aggressive and actually releasing in territories where they originally didn't release the Xbox One. It really does show that they are truly trying. They're going to give it a shot. I'm sure they're going to give it their best shot to try and capture some of the audience that PlayStation has. So we'll see, man. Just know that once these things go up for pre-order, bag them, get them, because it's going to be extremely hard to find one once the console launches. Let's go ahead and talk about the Epic Games Store. I mean, I've been talking about Epic. The reason why, I'm going to tell you, man, I'm going to just be honest with you. I'm not a PC gamer. I never will be. I haven't been a PC gamer since the 90s, playing Police Quest and King's Quest 4 and all of that jazz. But I love what Epic is doing versus Valve. They are really giving these jokers a run for their money and competition, people. It breeds greatness. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the Epic Games Store. Now, this amazing new feature that they have. Let's talk about. So, have you ever purchased a game digitally on let's just say a Tuesday, and you find out that the game has gone on sale by Friday, and it's like, God, dog, man, I wish I could have caught that. Well, listen to this. The studio Mayday founder Joshua Boggs, he tweeted about receiving a partial refund for a game for a game that the price dropped on. Now he says, and I quote, whoa, what? I've clearly been around for too long because I find this refund for a discount I missed on the at Epic Games Store absolutely mind-blowingly generous. This is incredible. End of quote. So this was the message that he received from the Epic Games Store, and I quote, which actually prompted this partial refund. It said, "You recently placed orders from the Epic Games Store. The price of the game or games you purchased were recently lowered, so we are issuing partial refunds for the difference." End of quote. Man, I'm bringing this up because Epic Games Store, listen, they got 2 more new free games coming up. They're giving away Civilization, 5 or 6? I could be wrong about the number, but I do know it's a Civilization game. They gave away Grand Theft Auto. These guys are giving out refunds for games that went on sale and the person might have bought it a couple of days before. And they're saying, look, we want to honor that and give you a partial refund. I mean, these guys are doing everything. I mean, they're getting exclusives. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 is an exclusive to the Epic Games Store. I mean, they are throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at the wall. If Microsoft wants to pattern themselves after somebody that's trying to slay a giant, you need to pattern yourself after what Epic Games Store is doing versus the Steam store, because they are doing everything. I mean, this, and the thing that got me excited about this story is, like I said, people, when it's competition, we all win. The consumer, we win. So we know that, let's just take an example, quick example. When PlayStation, they weren't getting the numbers for PSN, they start throwing in the games. Bam! All of a sudden, Microsoft, they were forced to throw in games with Xbox Live Gold. Boom! That came out of competition. If this situation with the Epic Game Store becomes big enough where people are just loving these partial refunds on these games that go on sale, quite possibly, eventually, maybe one day, Microsoft and Sony, Nintendo, we know how Nintendo be rocking, man. I don't know if they gonna do it, but possibly Nintendo, if they get wind of this, and they want to do, not necessarily a good deed, but they want to just do some goodwill to the game players and get people on their side, then they possibly could adopt this method of giving us partial refunds for games that went on sale days later after we purchased them. We'll have to see, man, but this is an excellent feature. Epic Game Store. I'm never going to buy anything from your actual store. I will buy some of your games or whatever that use your engine. But I just root these guys on because they are going after the biggest, I believe that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a PC guy, so correct me if this is wrong, but I thought that Steam was the biggest platform on PC. These guys are going head to head with a juggernaut, and they are doing everything they can to come up to the same numbers and exceed what they're doing over there on Steam. I commend this. I think this is great. Competition is always a good thing. Let's go ahead and move into the next story. Now, in more Sony news, it was announced that there will be a Last of Us Part 2 themed PlayStation 4 Pro console that will release on June 19th. Now, the console will be themed after Ellie's new tattoo sleeve and will include a 2 terabyte Seagate hard drive and a wireless headset with a copy of the game and a code to redeem digital content, and it will sell for $399. Or you can opt to buy the theme controller. That's going to be $64.99. You can get the black and red headset, which will sell for $99.99. And they have a themed external 2 terabyte Seagate hard drive that will sell for $89.99. And if you were wondering, because I was wondering this too, if you were wondering why they themed the console after Ellie's tattoo, it was because of the positive fan reactions to the design of Ellie's tattoo. Some guys went on Twitter and were saying that they wanted to get the same tattoo, and I was like, oh man, I've seen the console. It's not one of the better designs. I mean, hey, look, maybe I need to see it in person, but it just didn't stand out to me. It didn't stand out like this Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox One X. I mean, just the design and all of the meticulous details that are on that Cyberpunk 2077 console are amazing. And I just didn't see, and this is no hate against PlayStation, but I just didn't see where they were really pushing the design of this Last of Us 2 themed PlayStation 4. I just didn't see it. I mean, other people may, but I didn't. But, it is what it is. $399. You get a lot of good stuff in there. 2 terabyte hard drive. That's pretty cool. But, let's go ahead and let's talk about, here we go, some Mafia news. Now, of course, it's official. The Mafia Definitive Edition, it definitely is a real thing. Now, the original Mafia is getting a full remake and will release on August 28th. But Mafia 2 and 3, they are available now. I alluded to that a little early in the show. But this is the thing. If you own Mafia 2 on Steam, you can get the update for free. And if you already own Mafia 3, the game will automatically update to the definitive edition. And it's actually available, this update, the definitive update, it's available for not just PC, but also for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Now, if you want to buy the games, if you haven't ever purchased them, you can actually buy the game separately for $29.99, or you can buy all three for $60. Now, I know Mafia 2 and 3 are $30 a piece, but I don't know about the first one because, like they said, the first one, that's supposed to be a full remake. And the screenshots that I've been seeing for that game, good gosh. Man, that game looks really, really good. I never played the first one, was never interested. I had never played the second Mafia game, but the third one was where I came into the franchise. And I'll say I was playing the definitive edition. Let me talk about this definitive edition real quick. I'm not going to take long. I did not see one single thing that they did to make this a definitive edition. I will say that the sun, it was one scene where the sun was setting or whatever, and it was raining outside, and the concrete was saturated with rain, and the way that it popped off of the sunlight, it looked really, really good. But outside of that, just driving around, looking at the frames, looking at the animations, I mean, it still had popping like it did when I first bought the game 4 years ago. So for me, if somebody wanted me to, would I recommend it or not recommend them get this, I would say, look, listen, Mafia 3 was a really good game. I enjoyed it. The story was fantastic. Gameplay was, it was okay. It wasn't bad, but it was that story that really made that game great. I would say for $30, it's really not a bad pickup for $30, but don't expect to get any kind of bells and whistles with that edition, because as I was playing it, I said to myself, God dog, I would have been highly upset if I had spent $30 on this game that I already owned, because it looks like the game that I already owned. But I do think it was cool that 2K, they do allow you to update to the definitive edition if you do have the original copy. And I believe that they added a few features like slow-mo, where you can slow-mo shoot people and, drive in slow motion, something like that. But definitely, it just didn't seem like a full remastered or definitive edition. I just didn't get it. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on. Then again, hold on. Am I being fair to Mafia 3? Because it didn't say it was a remaster. It didn't say it was a remake. It did say it was a definitive edition. And usually that does mean that you get a couple extra perks and some DLC and stuff with the game, right? I could be wrong about that, but I do believe that's what the definition of that means. If that is what it is, then hey, it's not a bad game. It's not bad at all. Well, let's go ahead, man. I've been on this too long, man. Let's go ahead and let's get into the next story. So, we're going to take a stroll. Let's take a stroll down Rumerville Boulevard. So Next Level Racing, who is an Australian manufacturer of racing cockpits for professional racers, they took to Instagram and asked their followers what 2020 racing game were they looking forward to alongside this question, they featured pictures of logos from AMS2, Dirt 5, F1 2020, and Gran Turismo 7. Now, this is the thing. When they posted this, if what they posted on Instagram is accurate, that would mean that GT7 would be a launch title alongside the PlayStation 5. And to add some credibility to these guys, they have worked with PlayStation in the past. Now, the cockpits that they make are for video game racing simulation, but Sony at this point in time, they have not come out to confirm whether this is true or not. So like I always say, take this with a mustard seed of truth. Man, this is really, really interesting. GT7, we know that Gran Turismo games take forever for them to develop. Polyphony be really taking their sweet time. And I mean, how cool would it be? I just thought about it. Can you imagine GT7 going up against whatever Forza we're on? Not Forza Horizon, but the actual Forza game. Seeing those two big heavyweights going at it at the launch of each of their respectable consoles. That would be a showdown right there. Who would win that? Who do you have winning that battle? Who comes out on top? Is it Gran Turismo, the legend, or is it the up and coming new guy, Forza? Now, we know Forza is not so new now, but Gran Turismo, we're talking about, that joint goes all the way back to the PlayStation 2 era, man. Or was it the original PlayStation? Might have been the original. It was the original. We're talking about a grandfathered in franchise versus Forza, who isn't nearly as old. But man, I wonder who's getting the higher score with that. Who's getting the 90? Who's getting the 85 or what? Who's going to outscore who? This will be interesting if Gran Turismo 7 is a launch title. That's a strong launch title for the PlayStation brand. And I look forward to seeing if it really does turn out to be true. Let's go ahead and let's stay on Rumorville for a little bit. We're going to keep on strolling, keep on strolling down Rumor Boulevard. Now, we're going to talk about Nintendo down on the Rumor Boulevard. So, according to an industry insider named Leaky Pandy, he's saying that Nintendo is getting ready to share a Pikmin announcement very soon. But he wasn't clear on if it would be a new Pikmin or a port of the Wii U version from 2013. Nobody knows. We'll have to see. I'm not going to harp on it too much longer. Let's go ahead and let's move into a quick milestone news story. Now, the Resident Evil franchise, get this, they have sold over 100 million games since it began in 1996. 100 million. Capcom. That's all I got for you. Fantastic. 100 million copies sold. Wow. What a heck of a darn milestone. Now, let's get into I would say, I'm be honest with you, this is the most interesting story of the week. I'm highlighting this one because this one is a long one and I hope I can read it with as few mistakes as possible. So let's get into it. Now, Blue Point Games, they are no stranger to remasters. Now, they already, to their credit, they have the Nathan Drake collection and the stunning, I don't know if you guys have played this game or not, but Shadow of the Colossus is stunning. That game looks amazing. They have those two games under their belt. But for quite some time, we have heard that Blue Point is hard at work on the rumored Dark Souls remaster. But according to a leak, this may not be the case because according to this leak, Blue Point is allegedly working on a Jak and Daxter trilogy. which is scheduled to release alongside the launch of the PlayStation 5. And not only that, but they are also allegedly working on a remake of, and Vaughn, shout out to you for this one, brother. They are also allegedly working on a remake of Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, which is set to release in 2021. Now, one interesting thing about the alleged Jak and Daxter remake is the game is supposed to place all the events of the trilogy into one game, and there will be a new narrative and gameplay elements integrated into the story. And Bluepoint will be using one of the primary developers of the original game to collaborate with. Can you get now I'm gonna pause right there, man. Can you guys imagine? This could be, now once again, this is rumors, people. Rumors. None of this is confirmed. This is all just alleged leaks and hearsay. But could you guys imagine if this is true? And Bluepoint, I know some people would be let down. Me, I'm not a Dark Souls fan. I wouldn't be let down. I would be hype. If they are working on this Jak and Daxter trilogy, completely remaking it, we already know their caliber. Bluepoint Games is amazing at what they do. And just imagining them taking a Jak and Daxter game, having all three games, the trilogy, all sunk into one game and giving it a new narrative and new gameplay elements. This could be something big. And then you put on top of that they are releasing it alongside the launch of the PlayStation 5. So here you have, allegedly again, I just got to keep saying it, allegedly, Gran Turismo 7, Jak and Daxter remaster releasing during the launch of the PlayStation 5. Man! That sounds strong. Now, let's go ahead. I'm not going to harp on Jak and Daxter too much. I'm pretty hyped about that, though. But as far as the Legacy of Kain remake goes, it's allegedly being made in collaboration with Square Enix, and they intend to repurpose the plot for a major update to the gameplay. On top of that, they will be updating the environments and mood and concentrate on keeping the puzzles and adventure elements of the original, but introduce aspects of the Dark Souls series. Now, once again, Sony has not confirmed any of this, so take it with a mustard seed of truth. But man, Legacy of Kain, I remember, Vaughn, shout out to you, brother. You were saying that is a franchise that you would love to see come back. Matter of fact, I believe Amy Hennig, that was one of her first, well, maybe not one of her first games, but I know she was behind one of the games in the Legacy of Kain franchise. And people have been asking about this game, on and off. It hasn't been like a lot of heavy chatter, but can you imagine that this game comes out in 2021 allegedly for the PlayStation 5? I mean, you have already the launch going with Gran Turismo 7, Jak and Daxter, then you roll it over to 2021, and you have a Legacy of Kain game releasing on the PlayStation 5 too? Oh my goodness! I mean, how amazing would that be? And then for the people that would be a little let down because it wouldn't be Dark Souls, they said here that it would introduce aspects of the Dark Souls series. I mean, man, who the heck knows? Am I getting hyped for absolutely nothing? It is very, very possible that could be the case. But just thinking about how a Legacy of Kain would look that's being remastered on a PlayStation 5, how Jak and Daxter would look being remastered on the PlayStation 5 by Blue Point Games. I mean, we saw what they did with Shadow of the Colossus. This could be huge. And I truly, truly hope that this leak or this alleged leak is true. Let's go ahead and move into the next story. Also, talking about just games from back in the day being remade. Did you guys know that this wasn't a game from back in the day, but it was a cartoon from back in the day, the Smurfs? Did you know the Smurfs are getting a game? The daggone Smurfs are getting a third-person perspective game. And I don't know how the heck that's going to turn out. But I'm going to tell you, one game that I've hoped for from back in the 80s, one of the 80s cartoons that I think every kid that was my age at the time would have died to have seen come to a video game console near them was Thundercats. Now, I do understand and know that Thundercats had a few games that came out. They were on the computer and, you know, some real wretched Thundercat games that came out. I mean, they didn't look like Lion, no, they didn't have the characters right or anything like that. We're talking about horrible games. But looking at what, let me see, it was I forgot who did Transformers Devastation, but they did the cartoon style so accurately that it looked like the 80s cartoon. I mean, it looks so good. I would love to see a real Thundercats game be made in an art style that looks kind of like cell shaded. I mean, I think that would be absolutely incredible. I don't know. That's just where my head went. Man, playing this Panthro. Oh my gosh, man, I lose my freaking mind. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's get into this next story. So we got the list of fiscal year 2019-2020 earnings from all the top video game companies. And this report comes from Tweak Town. Now, number 14 is Embracer Group. I've never heard of them, but Embracer Group, they brought in $322.5 million. At number 13, we have Capcom. Shout out to them. Capcom, they brought in $767.30 million. Now at number 12, we got Sega. Sega is still out here getting it, man. They riding around and they getting it. They brought in $1.153 billion. God, dog, they getting it in a major way. Now, number 11 is Konami. Who the heck would have thought they would have even made the list? Konami, they are at they made $1.303 billion. Now, I don't know. They got some gyms and some gambling machines over in Japan. I don't know if they adding that to it. But anyway, that's what they made. But let's see, after Konami, we got Ubisoft, who was at the number 10 spot. And they brought in $1.446 billion. God dang, it's a lot of billions going on. At number 9, we got Square Enix. They brought in $2.386 billion. At number 8 is Bandai Namco. Man, shout out to Square, man. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a goddamn, man, amazing. But number 8, we got Bandai Namco. They brought in $3.18 billion. At number 7, we got Take-Two. And they brought in, let me see, Take-Two Interactive brought in $3.89 billion. At number 6, EA, they brought in $5.537 billion. God dang. At number 5, we got Activision Blizzard. They brought in $6.388 billion. Number 4 is Xbox, and they brought in $10.260 billion. God dag. And Xbox ain't supposed to be making no money. $10.260 billion at number 4. Now at number 3, we got Nintendo, and Nintendo's killing it. They made $12.10 billion. God dang, shout out to them. At number 2, Tencent, man, number 2 spot. They beat out not only Microsoft, but Nintendo as well, bringing in a whopping $16.224 billion, and at the number 1 spot, and it is very, very well deserved, we have Sony, who has brought in $18.19 billion. God, dog. Man, this is fantastic. I love going over these numbers because it lets us see how well the gaming industry is doing. And right now, the gaming industry is up and away. And I'm sure that the coronavirus had a lot to do with this, but just seeing these numbers, seeing these companies, they're flourishing. No companies are doing very bad. I mean, the lowest amount that was brought in was from the Embracer Group, and I don't know what they do, but they still brought in $322.5 million. So shout out to these guys. They continue to do well. I mean, Xbox, they are, like $8 billion short of where Sony is. But hey, man, it's cool, man. It's great. It's just great to see all of these companies doing well. But let's go ahead and move into some PlayStation VR news. Now, Sony announced a Iron Man VR bundle that will include a physical copy of the game, the PlayStation camera, 2 PlayStation Move controllers, and a PlayStation VR demo disc. Now, the price of this bundle will be $349.99, and it will release on July 3rd. Now, if you actually own a PlayStation VR right now, you can actually download the demo of Iron Man VR, and it includes a tutorial and the first missions. And I tell you, I've heard nothing but really good things about this game. I have a PlayStation VR right now, still in the box. John, brother, you got me, man. It's still in the dirt box. I've had it for 2.5 years, and it's just still in a box, along with the Thrustmaster SP10 Sparko wheel. I'm just, man, it's just sitting there, brother. But I don't know what I'm doing with life. But yeah, man, I've heard nothing but fantastic things about the game. They said that you really feel like Iron Man. You got to put the controllers like kind of to your waist and hit the trigger button to use it, for like the thrusters and whatnot. And saying it's going to be really, really good. So for anybody that was looking forward to not PlayStation VR only, but for Iron Man as well, being able to get this bundle for $350, I think that's pretty good, man. I mean, you get the controllers, you get everything that you could possibly need to get the full immersion of PlayStation VR. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the Nintendo Switch exclusive Bayonetta 3, because back in 2017, the game was announced, but we haven't seen anything about the game since. So people would start to think, at least I did, is something wrong with the development of this game? Or did Platinum Games run off with the bag like they did Microsoft with Scalebound? Good grief. But the game's director, Hideki Kamiya, he sat down for an interview with the Video Game Chronicles where they asked him whether he was, quote, bored of being asked about where the Switch exclusive Bayonetta 3 is. Now, he said he is, quote, happy there's still anticipation for the title, end of quote. And that, no, it's another quote, and that developers are still hard at work on it. Now, we said fans should continue to look forward to its release. Now, they did, I mean, to be fair, they did release Astral Chain last year alongside the recent re-release of the Wonderful 101. So hopefully, we get some news later this year. And, while we're talking about that, well, first off, I feel like I'm kind of jumbling too much stuff together. Right here, we do see that Bayonetta 3, they're still working on it. He's saying fans should be anticipating the title. Hopefully it just won't take too long. But, just moving into something else, the rumors of Microsoft acquiring Platinum Games, we heard about that, man, quite a while ago, saying that they wanted to buy them and that Scalebound was coming back, even though Phil Spencer, he actually dismantled that rumor on IGN, I believe, where he said that Scalebound is nothing going on with that game. But just to put these rumors to bed, as far as them actually buying Platinum Games, head producer Atsushi Inaba said, and I quote, I did read some rumors about Xbox wanting to purchase Platinum Games, and I thought people on the internet write the craziest stuff because that conversation has not come to our doorstep at all. We've not had any talks like that, but I think even if it was a possibility, we're now going into more independent self-publishing. End of quote. So it looks like they're basically getting ready to get into the self-publishing. They want to be self-sufficient. They don't want anybody buying them up. They want to continue to stay independent and do what they do. So for anybody that thought that Platinum Games would be bought by Microsoft, it is not happening. So with that being said, though, let's go ahead. We're almost done here, guys. I think we got like 2 more stories left. But this next story, let's talk about Obsidian Entertainment. Now, they actually announced that they will be releasing a limited time demo for Grounded on June 9th through the 14th. Now, this is the quote. More ways to play the single-player demo means more of you get to play. See you in the backyard, June 9th. End of quote. Now, Obsidian also said that there will be now this is what I don't freaking like. They said it's going to be limited slots available for Xbox One and will be giving them out on a first-come, first-served basis. But for Steam players, there is no limit for the availability of the demo. How the frick do you even justify this? For people that actually went out, bought your platform, spent their hard-earned money. Now, am I so excited for Grounded? Heck no, I'm not excited for Grounded. But darn, a demo just might turn me around. You never know. But here you have Microsoft again. This is the stuff I don't understand. You are giving the PC more of an option than you are your console base. Here you're saying right here, right now, that slots are limited for the Xbox One, but on Steam, it is no limit. Just everybody come piling in and enjoy all of the stuff we have to offer you with Grounded. But Xbox players have to suffer and have to worry about, am I going to get into this demo? Or is it going to fill up before I get a chance to play? I mean, this stuff, it's unacceptable. Microsoft, come on, man. I don't know why you guys continue to give carte blanche to the PC, releasing games on the PC that don't come out on the console until months later. I don't understand. They need to switch all of this stuff up, man. If you want people to go into your console ecosystem, you want them to feel like they are important and not that you're slighting them for PC. That's just not going to fly. You don't see PlayStation giving carte blanche to the computer, to the PC. They don't. They concentrate on their PlayStation fan base. Granted, they're not on PC. They don't have any ties to PC like Microsoft does, but still, Microsoft needs to get better with this practice, man. But for people that are interested in Grounded, once again, it'll be available from June 9th to the 14th. Let's go ahead and also from there, you'll have early access to the game starting on July 28th. But I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to Pac-Man, who just turned 40 years old on May 22nd. Now, this guy, Pac-Man, aka Puck-Man, over in Japan, he has sold an estimated 44 million games, and as of 2016 has generated more than $14 billion in revenue. Shout out to Pac-Man, one of the doggone gaming characters that really brought gaming to the mainstream. Shout out to that yellow dude. Let's go ahead and get into the final story. Now, in EA News, according to Ben Fisher, and I'm uptight about this, man, but let's read it. Let's see. Ben Fisher from Sports Business Daily. He believes that NFL owners will continue to give EA Sports the exclusive rights to produce and market NFL video games until at least the year 2025, with the option to extend it to 2026. Now, as it stands, nothing is official yet, so anything can happen. But I just wanted to throw something out there. EA's contract, well, this wasn't what I wanted to throw out there, but their contract does officially expire after the 2021 season, which means this should be the last year. Now, do you guys know how long? This is what I wanted to bring up. Do you guys know how long they have had the exclusive rights to the NFL, EA, that is? They have held on to these exclusive rights for 15 years. 15 years! They have had the exclusive rights to the NFL, and they paid them $50 million for the deal. So here we are. This week coming up, they're going to be having a meeting with the different owners to see if they want to continue this deal. Man, I tell you, I shouldn't be, but man, I'm praying that this does not happen, because you figure, can you imagine EA was that shook of 2K that they said, you ain't gonna get this license for a decade and a half at minimum. Decade and a half. 2K, NFL 2K was on their heels that bad. They were that threatened by NFL 2K that they shut them down for a decade and a half. And now they're coming back to the table, and they could have it sewn up until as long as 2026. I am hoping so much that by the end of this week, after this meeting happens, that they don't have the license anymore, because as it stands right now, we know that NFL 2K, they came to an agreement with the NFL, but they just can't make any simulation games, any NFL simulations. They can't get any of the players' likeness, I guess, and no NFL licensed teams. So, man, with 2K getting back into the game to a certain degree, I would love to see it just be a situation where they both have to go head to head. EA can't flex their muscle with all of their money to get them out of being in stiff competition with 2K, because as it stands right now, NBA 2K has crapped all over NBA Live, and everybody knows it. EA knows it. EA has had the license for 15 years. It's time to fight, man. You've had the license for long enough, and who knows? Could this be strategic on 2K's part? I mean, we already read how much they have made this year. I mean, they have done very, very well for themselves. So who knows? It's very interesting that this year they chose to go ahead and get that deal going with the NFL, because right now Take-Two Interactive, that's the parent company of them, they made $3.89 billion in the fiscal year. That is not small money. I'm positive that they could come up with the same 50 million or make it more sweet and say, we'll give you $55 million for the NFL license. I'm sure they could do that. If EA paid them 50, they pay him 55. I mean, hopefully 2K fights for it, because I know I can't be the only one that wants to see a brand new NFL 2K 2022 game be released. Man, we'll see how this works out by the end of the week. Will they retain the exclusive rights? Oh my gosh, I hope not. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the gaming news this week. Man, oh man. Well, we are in the final section of the podcast, and for some reason, my microphone has been sounding terrible in this episode. I apologize for it. My goodness, my gosh, might have to get a new one. But the question of the week, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the question that I have for you guys this week is the console war good for gaming? For me, the console war for me, it has nothing to do with wanting to see, and I think I've said this time and time again on the podcast, it has nothing to do with me wanting to see Nintendo fail, to see Sony fail, to see Microsoft go under. For me, the console war means that all three companies, or however many parties are involved, Stadia, Epic Game Store, Steam, whatever the case may be, whoever their adversaries are, for me, it's about seeing them push each other. If this one comes out with a feature, the competition comes out with a feature to counter that, so that the people on the other side that are on that console see that, hey, they're taking care of us like they're taking care of them. For me, it does gaming no good. And it really kind of gets under my skin a little bit when people want to see a company go under. It's terrible for gaming. I mean, you want to see a small example of that? Matter of fact, we were just talking about it. Look at what's happened to Madden since they haven't had any competition at all. They are the only place that you can go to for a NFL licensed game. It's no competition. Therefore, they have no incentive to be better. When 2K was out there and they were battling each other, 2K technically was only around for maybe 3 or 4 years. It was a short amount of time. And in that 3 or 4 years, Madden was decades old. By the time 2K came around on the scene, they scared them so bad that they bought the license for 15 years, man. I mean, competition is it is the driving force. It breeds greatness. It makes companies, have to volley for your dollars. Sometimes they have to go against what they originally set out to do because they see that they're losing people. I mean, it's very important that it's stiff competition. And from that aspect, that's what I'm asking you guys. Is the console war good for gaming? I would say it 100% is, because it keeps these companies on their toes and it keeps them, once again, vying for our dollars, giving us the biggest bang for our buck. If you want to be a part of this conversation and you want to leave your thoughts, you can do that 2 different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I would love to get you in on this conversation. Anyway, guys, I'm going to tell you, man, I had a ball with y'all this week. I always do. It's always great talking to you guys. Thank you guys again for the feedback. Shout out to the circle. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to One Subset Tekken. Shout out to Vaughn. Shout out to John again for writing in. Truly appreciate it. I would love to hear you guys' opinion. And we're about to be out of here, guys. But before we officially wrap it up and get on out of here, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So with that being said, guys, until next week, when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.